Dear me, what advice would you give to your younger self? Would you give advice on career? Would you give advice on relationships? Would you tell yourself to avoid certain relationships? Would you tell yourself to seek certain relationships? That's today's topic on the Mars Mindset. So let's get somebody in here and have the conversation.
Hi.
Arika,
Hello.
how you feeling?
Great, as usual.
You say you're not in a quiet place?
Yes, I'm back. I don't know if
It's
you can
all
hear the
good.
music.
I don't hear any music. It sounds like I hear a couple kids in the background, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, some kids in the background.
Oh, okay, okay. How was your day? How you feeling?
Good, good. I was off today, so
Oh, what do you do?
what do I do?
Yeah, you said you were off today. What do you do?
I drive MTA Mobility.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I bet you probably see some crazy stuff.
Nah, not really.
Oh, okay. I
It's
mean,
cool though. It's laid back.
oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. So, if you were to give yourself, your younger self, relationship advice, or just any advice in general, what would you tell your younger self?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Don't do it at
Don't
all.
do it. Don't do it at all.
Don't do. Okay, hold on. Let's stop there. Let's
You can
stop there.
take it both ways. Like, all right, so don't do it. Mean it. Like, save yourself for the right person. That's one thing. Secondly, even though your your relatives be like, oh, you shouldn't do that, da 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 da. But you being young, you just think you know it everything. You go ahead and do it anyway. But just don't do it. Like, save yourself for that person. It's like gonna be that, right? And then um another thing I would tell myself is don't take everything so seriously.
Okay.
Because I was really like, wanted to do everything by the book.
Okay. So
Um,
let me ask you this though: How do you how do you know you got the right person if you haven't had the wrong person?
how do you know?
Yeah.
I haven't had the right person yet. I
Right.
know
But
that.
what I'm saying is
But
like,
if you gotta go, I understand what you're saying, but you do have to go through some people to know like the difference in what's right and what's wrong, right? But yeah,
hmm.
I got three beautiful kids though.
Yeah,
From
I
the
get that.
situation,
It's just
from
something.
being, I was a young mother, like 18.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
in terms. I think when we look at our past, we if we could go back, we would avoid certain things because of the pain and the struggles. But I think because they give us lessons too, that's how we know the right person when they come along. Like, what if you never had the experience, and then you pick that same person when you like 30 or something? You like, shoot, man, like and
Yeah.
then you wasted the real good part. So it's something I'm thinking about.
Hold
Mm,
on. I
yeah.
really don't knock it. Like, I appreciate the journey because I learned a lot of lessons in that situation.
Uh huh.
But it was definitely painful. I mean, I didn't have to put myself through it either. So it was
But
just
did you have
something I was
did,
trying to do.
did you have people in your life telling you that that joint wasn't a good look for you?
Um, well, I met him when I was 17. So yeah, of course. But I was like, I
Everybody says
wasn't.
there's always
Yeah,
someone that says if you're that young.
right. So that's like normal. Then it was like, okay, then probably like when I turned like 20, I was like, yeah, my aunt was right. And by that time, my mindset was different. Like, I was thinking like I wanted to be different from what my parents were. Like, they didn't stay together, so I was trying to really fight for the relationship. And yeah, it it didn't work out like I intended it to. And I eventually let it go after like 20 years. But
Hmm.
yeah,
So with into those 20 years, how soon? So if you let's say you could go back, but you couldn't go all the way back. You can go back to the part where it first starts to be like shaky, shaky. Not like an argument, but like shaky, shaky. How
mm,
far back is that? Like when do you cut bait? Like, hey, you know what? Nah, that's enough. Because I know where this is
I was
going.
like, I was probably like 20, maybe 19. Maybe
At the
I
age
was
of
young
19, so you
at the age
saying
of
2 years
19.
into it?
Yeah,
Uh,
I had my first child at that time. Yeah, I only had one at that
okay,
time. So yeah, love
okay.
all of them to death. But yeah,
So
it
after
was
2 years, you would have got out of there.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I had a lot of stuff going on internally, like, and then I talked to people even like after like I went on and got married to them and all that. And then when I really was like, all right, no, this can't be it for me, and I like would go to like my elders and ask them like, and, you have those people like, oh, you have to, still stay, stick it out, get help, and da 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 da. God can fix anything, and then I stayed another couple years, and I was like, nope. After that, I had to go because it was like I started looking at it from a different point of view. I can't get advice from somebody else to make a decision that I already know from within that it wasn't right. No matter how much I tried to switch things up or get therapy, it just wasn't it.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. That's okay. Well, I guess you have the knowledge now. So
I definitely do.
we're
I
happy that
definitely got a lot of
what is you
knowledge.
you are a wise one. I won't call you an old wise one because I'm not allowed to call a young lady old, but you are an old OLE wise one now.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna stick around, mute your mic.
Oh, I come. I'll come back later
All right, that's cool. Yeah,
because
whenever
I
you're
need
ready
to
to come
charge
back,
my
mute your mic.
phone. All right.
All right, appreciate you.
Hi, Dr. Hawk.
Hey,
All right.
Erika.
All right. I'll see y'all later.
All right, peace
All
out.
right. Bye.
Dr. Hulk,
Hey,
I appreciate you, Dr. Hulk, for subscribing to my Patreon, like everyone else.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How you feeling today?
I'm pretty good, pretty good.
I thought about you earlier when I was at work, and I said I'm not in the mood today because I'm tired. I said, but one of these days I'm gonna mess with Dr. Hulk, and I'm gonna say Dr. Hulk to the superintendent's office because the superintendent is your supervisor, right? Like, kind of. Yeah. I said I'm gonna mess with Dr. Hulk one day, but not today because I am too tired. I don't got enough. I ain't got enough energy in me for all that. But what what advice would you give to your younger self about anything? Career, relationships, friendships, money. I mean, obviously you can't go back and be like, hey, put $2 million into Google, but what advice would you give your younger self?
Hmm. See, that's hard because I appreciate every experience that I've gone through because it helped me grow as a person. But I guess too, not being so hard on myself and being okay with being okay. You know what I'm saying? Like telling myself it's okay to not be okay.
What do you mean more like
Like,
tell younger stuff like it's okay to have the emotions that you have and experience them?
yeah, cause I didn't like I would always put up a face like, like everything was okay when it wasn't. Like when I would go through things, in some of my younger relationships, like nobody knew like some of the things that I went through. But I guess too, to be more open to other people too,
Mm.
when I'm going through, to have a support system, like as I gotten older, I would start talking about some of the experience I went through, and like people that were close to me, they like, dang, I didn't even know you went through that.
Hmm. So being more emotionally open. That's a good.
Yeah,
What about have you ever been to therapy?
I have not.
You never go?
So I've never, and I'm really pushing myself.
Huh.
I'm really pushing myself to be open because my anxiety is bad when it comes to my kids because they're adults because they're not always up under me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm getting a lot of anxiety with that too. So I'm more open, to going into therapy
Okay.
and
Yeah.
setting up therapy for my children too and letting them understand it's okay.
Yeah, therapy too. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
interview therapists all the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm thinking in terms of like you having anxiety in terms of your how old is your youngest?
19.
Oh, okay.
And they do live with me, but this world is crazy. But every time they're not with me, it's like I worry. Like it's a shame because I do make them share like their locations with me. Because if I didn't have it, I would have a panic attack.
Hold on. Are you saying they still share their location with you?
Yes. Yes.
Dr. Huck, come on now.
And they appease mom because they know I got some anxiety. Like it's crazy.
So
This world is crazy. These kids have no value for human life. It's crazy.
um yeah, I guess in my mind that's just an aspect of having to learn to accept that things change.
Mm-hmm.
People grow, and at some point you're not going to be able to have their location services.
I know. I know. I know.
So, do you have anxiety attacks? Not real bad, but like do you like your heart rate go up and you start to get sweaty and stuff like that?
Well, I get sweaty because I'm having hot flashes. I'm going through
Uh,
change. but
Respect.
but but I do like my heart does beat. Like if I hear a siren going off, like I'll jump up and like check their location to make sure that they're somewhere safe. It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of experienced that a little bit, but I have really young kids,
Mm-hmm.
19-year-old too. I worry about her sometimes too, but I've kind of just accepted that she's just an adult now and going
Right.
because um and I worry about Libby. The only thing I really worry about Libby's my 6-year-old, is Libby's homeschooled, so I don't really worry about her out in the world too much. I just sometimes I feel like she should be in school for the social aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. I'm kind of like you. Like I don't really want to send my kids to school and all of that good stuff. And then, um, I've had to save Finn's life, and I'm not exaggerating, probably about 7, 8 times because she put stuff in her mouth.
Oh.
Like I've literally had to go in probably 6, 7, 8 times and like go down in there and get it out. And so now, even when we're in the house, it's always like if we don't see her, like, yo, where's Finn at? And
Mm-hmm.
she's always climbing on something, or something's falling on her, or she's doing something and she's trying to get to the electrical socket or something. It's like you're gonna be one of those kids that has to have the little the book bag with the monkey tail as
Mm-hmm.
so. And I think that's probably something that a lot of people deal with, is just anxiety with their kids.
Right. And the thing is, and I know I need to get past because my kids are not bad kids. They not, out here and being reckless in the street and doing nothing like that. But it's just, and it's just a different world because the way I hung out in the streets and stuff like that when I was younger, and I turned out fine. You just get worried about your kids. Well, I guess too, I just got off the phone with my sister. So I think one thing that I would not have done, I fought. I got into quite a few fights as a younger person. I did, but the thing is, most of them was because I had that sister that would say, "I'm going to get my sister," like, and she ran her mouth a lot, and I always would go and take her. So that thing, of course I'm gonna protect my sister and stuff like that, but just getting more information and thinking before you respond. That's one thing I would tell my younger self. Like,
Tactical pause, right?
yeah.
Being able to see the future. That's really what it is, to be able to see how this thing can play out.
Right. Because you make one bad decision, you can ruin your life. Thank God I haven't been there, or done anything like that. It's sad because it's just like one of my old students. I just got a text, he done got shot and killed this week. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the world is more crazy now, or do you think we just have access to more information and it's always been a bit Looney Tunes?
I think it's crazier now.
Exactly.
This Generation Z, they have they a different breed.
Oh, I know violent crime is up. Because of what I do, they send me the crime statistics, and I'm like, ooh, bad. And I like all of the violent ones are up now. Some of the more petty ones are down.
Yeah,
but that's not a net positive. It's not like, oh, more people are getting robbed and stabbed, but no one's breaking into cars anymore. But yeah, you should try therapy.
I am. I'm actively looking. I started listening to this podcast from this woman from out of Atlanta. It's called Therapy for Brown Girls or something like that. So just to kind of build myself up to.
And I will tell you this too. A lot of it is you can do a lot of work yourself. You can do a lot of work yourself if you take the time to analyze the way you feel about a particular thing, right? So like, let's say you were to say, okay, I get anxious about my kids going out into the world. And you were to write it down all the way out to why you're anxious, the benefits, or what it says about you that you're anxious, because there's treasures in there, because it shows that you care about your kids and you want what's best for them and all of those things. And you could also look at the things that you can do to deal with being anxious from a strictly physical standpoint. You may be able to do deep breathing. Able to put an ice bag on your wrist. You can call them, right?
Yeah.
You can call them. It's something else that in my opinion gives life zest is the ability to, because I just lost the screen recording, sorry. Something else that gives life zest, in my opinion, is actually the idea that nothing lasts forever. But you can fast forward in your mind to a point where you may not have a certain thing, and then come back to the present and know that it's still there. You can call that person and be like, yo, I was really thinking about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
so you got that aspect. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there have been some traumas that I've been able to, in my life, that not many people know about, but I've been able to kind of shield my emotions, I guess, or still been able to thrive regardless of it. But, I think I kind of hung my hat on me and my spirituality and going to church and stuff like that, and knowing God is going to help me through this and make things all right, because, he's been good to me. But I think like now I see, yes, I have God there as part of my life, but I may need to, talk to a therapist too.
Yeah, I think the thing I think about believing in God or putting your faith in God is that it allows you to sometimes avoid certain aspects of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because when you let go and let God, that means that you're not. It's a couple different ways that can happen. Like, are you genuinely letting go, and are you okay with what you're letting go of? And because we all have to accept things that we can't change, but that doesn't mean that they don't still affect us. I can accept that, this is happening, but that doesn't mean that doesn't affect me emotionally in some way, shape, or fashion.
Right, right.
I look like therapy and self work as something that allows you to be able to deal with the feelings behind.
Mm-hmm.
Real easy, and I, as a guy, it's easy to just suppress it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good, as long as I can wake up, as long as I'm still functional, who cares? No,
Yeah.
no one's
Yep.
really gonna know what's going on. But the problem with that is that it becomes a part of your it's like it becomes a part of your shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So then it ends up popping up at the inopportune time, or someone says something and you get triggered. And if it's been so long and you're not conscious, you won't even know why you're reacting that way. But if you do the work, you might still get triggered, but you'll be aware enough to see it coming.
Right. Aware enough to see it coming and can think through because I do this now. I can think through, all right, if I respond this way, that again, that tactical pause, like let me think about the consequences. So I think I do that now because there's been certain situations and there's been time in the past again where I may have reacted even on a job, a way that I should not have. But now it's like, people are like, why are you so patient? I'm like, it took work. It took work.
Yeah, and too, once people know that they can manipulate your emotions, they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And
you, you see the question?
yeah. Um, do you think God put people in your life to encourage us to the others that have? And I would say yes, because I'm gonna tell you this. I haven't even thought about like therapy and I'm talking to a therapist and everything until I started coming on live and hearing the people that you bring on and just hearing. So I do like because I found your it just happened by chance. I don't know how I found your live. It just happened by chance, and I think like now I feel as though like we have a good enough friendship that I would say okay, Chell's like he inspires me, or even talking to Julie, she inspires me. Talking to Lil, she inspires me. Everybody that gets on here, I feel inspired in some kind of way. So I do definitely believe that God will place people in your life.
Hmm. Yeah, I do too. And we had that really, super in-depth conversation the other day about whether God's all knowing and we have free will and all of that good stuff. I don't know why I keep losing the screen recording. This is so annoying. But so and I know that I'm still kind of I teeter. I can't logically accept both. Just
Mm-hmm.
my logic just don't work that way, right? But I do think that, let's say that if God is all knowing, I think that God does have the ability to manipulate its own consciousness to a point where it can, even though it's all knowing, it's like it can close its eyes on the knowing, right?
Right. He does give us free will too. So he gives us free will to make a choice of which path we're going to go. But what he does is he lays out, this is what's going to happen if you choose this path. This is going to happen when you choose this path. This is what's going to happen. So I do believe that. And then he'll place things in our pathway to try to get us to go the path that he wants us to go, or that he thinks is best for us. And even if we go the wrong path, his plan is I'm gonna still be here for you to pick up the pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When things fall apart.
Mm. Yeah, some of the books I've read, and they talk about how some people become enlightened in prison because even though they don't have, you know, I guess you could say power over their outside world, they come to this realization that they can still be emotionally whole. They can still
Mm,
be mentally whole. They can still, you know, detach and attach to thoughts and emotions just like anyone else. And that's
mm,
what I guess that's kind of like where you find your true power.
right.
You're always going to be able to manipulate the outside world. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with my wife earlier, and she was having this issue at work, and I was telling her like, this is actually an easy one to solve because I tell people like this: if you can manipulate the outside world to your benefit, right, without really hurting anybody, that's really easy to solve, right? You could just say, hey, this is the solution, or I have the evidence, or this is what happened. I say the real issue comes when you can't change the outside world, and now you have to deal with what's going on. Like you talk about with your kids, like your kid's gonna go out in the world, you can't always control what's gonna happen. So you're gonna have to
Right.
be at peace with the fact that you can't control whatever's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's just something that's interesting to me. But so one thing I would change, I think I would go to therapy sooner.
Sooner.
I would, if I could go back, you know, if I could go back as like a kid, I would have told my parents, like, man, take me to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take me to therapy so that I can understand who I am, what I am, and begin to have more answers to these questions sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of parents aren't really emotionally intelligent, so we don't know how to teach our kids to be emotionally intelligent. And our kids will probably be so much more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it makes me think like little girls who end up in their teenage and early 20s years and do a bunch of stuff that they regret later, they probably wouldn't go down that path as much. Right? Because they would be more secure in themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Or you think about how like little boys, some of them become super violent, right? Or whatever the case may be. Maybe you can teach them early on, because I'm sure there's probably signs early on that you could that a therapist or a child psychologist would be able to see and be like, okay, let's take this anger and channel it into martial arts, right? And things like that. So that's just, I think I would go back and be like, hey, let's talk to somebody a little bit sooner. So let's see who else is in the room. Asha Rooney says she didn't she said she can't come in for some reason. Yeah, if you want to support and watch the replays of all these videos, go to patreon.com/IamChellsX. Dr. Hulk just dropped out. What happened to Dr. Hulk? Oh God, are you in the hello? Nikki.
Hey.
Oh, I was like, why do I see Nikki? About to say, I'm about to kick you out. Say, don't John ain't gonna come looking for me because you got you in the shower curtain.
Oh my God, no. Oh my God. No.
I don't need no smoke with John. None at all.
I don't need no smoke with me. I would be like, oh, I'm done with social media forever.
It's all good. It's all good. You back, Dr. Hope?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I be trying to scroll sometimes and look at some comments and always click off.
Oh, okay. Hit the button. Okay.
Hi, Dr. Hope.
Hey, Nikki.
How you feeling today?
How y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm good.
I like your hair, Nikki. I put that in the comments yesterday, but that hair is.
Oh, and I didn't say thank you. This is my little go-to curl when it get cold because it doubles as a hat.
Keep your hair warm.
Okay.
So, Nikki, if you go back and give your younger self advice on life, career, motherhood, relationships, what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, younger self will have to sit down for a couple of months because I would have a lot of advice for her. But I think first off, I would tell my younger self, don't go out seeking love. I would tell my younger self to not go look for love, because the way that I did it, and the way that I feel about going to seek love, if it's not in your Heavenly Father, if you're going to seek love, I think that the mind will allow you to think that a lot of people could fit the bill, in versus to preparing yourself for love. So I think I would have started there, because I think I sought love because I sought validation.
So how would your life look different if you didn't seek that validation early on? What would be different about your life?
Well, for starters, I think that because I still have a passion that I'm trying to tap into now at the ripe age of 41, But for starters, I think I would have fostered the things that I loved from the beginning, like singing, writing. I would have fostered those things because then I wouldn't have been so consumed with doing what it is that my family or society would expect of me, and versus to doing the things that I like and I love.
You just gave me a good topic. What's your dream career? Maybe we could do that one day. Like, what if you could do anything you wanted to? What would it be? Let's do it right now, right quick, just between us three. Dr. Hulk, if you could do anything you wanted to do, and you can't say be Dr. Hulk, you can't be a principal. So that'd be something else, like a dream. What would it be?
I would be on Broadway. I would do theater.
Really?
Wonderful.
I would be an actor. I would do theater.
Okay. Let's talk about that just for a second. When you think about the movie roles or the roles in a play, what would be like your top tier character to play?
I would say let me think about that.
All right.
Let me think about it.
Think about it. Think about all the classics. All right, your favorite joints. You like, man, she killed that joint. Nikki.
So I'll say this. Anything like Sanaa Lathan, she has had a lot of roles that I feel like kind of fits my personality.
Okay.
You know, so probably something like especially what was it? Was it called Brown Sugar with her and like
And Tay Diggs.
yes. Like, you know,
That was Nia. Was that? Oh wait, was that Nia in him? No, wait.
Nah. That was Sanaa Lathan.
Like
Oh,
that and even to her role in The Best Man, like that would be me. Loving basketball, you know.
That'd be cool, Dr. Hulk. All right, Nikki, what you think? What you got? What's your dream? What would be your dream job? Or your dream, not job, but your dream career?
I think I would have went into forensic pathology if I didn't become a mom so young.
So you and my wife would be picking the skin out of the fingernails of some dead guy in some apartments.
Listen, let me tell you something. I already respected Lil, but you're just making me love her even more every day that you come on here because I'm starting to believe she's the genius. She's a genius.
Hold on. You say she's a genius or the genius?
She might be the genius. She might be the brains of the operation, ain't she?
In certain ways she is. In certain ways, I am.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think if you're in a good relationship, that's how I go.
I think that I'm, in comparison to me and Lil, I just think the difference is that one of the differences is that I'm more question oriented. I think I'm more willing to seek out questions just about life and things that may not have a right or wrong answer as opposed to her. I think she's more grounded in her beliefs and I'm more like, hey, I could be swayed, you know, what do you got going on? What do you think over here? What do you think over there? And Lil's just like, nope, this is what I think. This is what it is.
Adamant.
My perspective. Hey, talk about it, cool. But other than that, I'm standing 10 toes down and I just be like, yeah, but what about the other person's perspective? She'd be like, I don't care about their perspective.
So would you consider yourself to be a person that for the most part is like unbiased or neutral, just a neutral personality?
I can be very neutral, right? I'm very good at understanding different people's perspectives, and I don't have to, because we all have biases, right? And we all have opinions, but I'm not so attached to my opinion to the point where I can't understand why you have the opinion that you
right.
And I think a lot of people, they're so caught up in their opinion and the way they think things should be that it makes it difficult for them to communicate. But I mean, I talk to y'all every day, right? So if I was so caught up in my opinion, we'll be here arguing all the time. But because to me, it's and if you think about it, like Dr. Hawk and I talked about it yesterday, if we're not discussing something that's actually like a fact that can be determined, then what does it matter what your opinion is? Unless you're using that opinion, and this does happen. If you're not using your opinion to oppress me or for ill will,
Right.
shit, what you think anyway?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Outside of us just having a conversation, like, okay, what do you think? I like orange, you like blue. Okay,
I
cool.
would like to say that I possess that, but really, like, that's one of the parts that I'm working on with me, because I mean, I want to carry that mindset even into this next phase of parenting. You know, my babies are drastically different in age. My older two is 26 and 20, almost 22, and my younger are 9 and 4.
Mm.
And
Girl, God bless you. God bless you.
no, God bless me. John ran out of anniversary ideas, and now I got 2 sons. That's how I feel. He couldn't give me a gift, and he was like, "I got just the thing." But I'm grateful. But no, I want to have that. Because I want to allow even my young kings the forefront to be themselves, right, and not pulling toxic traits that are handed down generationally, where you pay the cost to be the boss, so what you say goes. Like, I really want to allow Josiah and Eli to be them and just help to harness theirs in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm one-sided, or if it's just my way goes and nobody else's goes, then that wouldn't work. Do you see the people? They're alive.
So, Chels, what
Keep it quiet.
are you doing?
What'd you say, Dr. Hope?
What would you be doing if you didn't have the career you had now? Or what's your dream job?
I think just from sheer desire, just sheer enjoyment is playing basketball, right? But I don't think I would like the constant travel.
Mm-hmm.
But just in terms of like being able to hoop, I think I would either hoop or probably rap.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? One of those two. Now, my dark horse is something like, and I tell y'all, I love driving, right? I enjoy driving. They essentially that's what they pay me to do. Essentially, is drive. That's what I would pretty much do all night. Drive. I kind of want to be a race car driver.
Oh.
Like, I could just imagine, like, you sitting in that joint, vroom, vroom, and you coming in, vroom, you doing 200 miles an hour. That would be kind of cool.
Mm.
Dr. Hawk added me to the list of the kids that she worried about.
Yes.
I'm about to say she gonna be praying. She gonna keep you listed in prayer, like, oh God.
Yes. Let me tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, my kids can't even drive me. They both got their own cars and drive. My anxiety, even with you can't drive me. I don't care how long you've been driving. They probably drive better than me. Oh no. Nope.
So Dr. Hawk is gonna go back and go to therapy. And what did you say yours was, Nikki? What are you going back to do? What are you going back to
Well, I write. I'm an author. I'm owning that already before I'm published. I'm an author. In February, I'll be a published author. And it'll be several books, kids' books, related to representation for little Black and brown kids and their families, and support of children on the spectrum. And it's named after my son. So it's going to be Eli the Great. That's the title. But in addition to that, I sing, and I haven't done it publicly because something happened to me around 25 where I started to get the nerves. And so what I sound like when I think no one is listening, but my husband is impeccable at sneaking up on me, recorded me several times, sent it out and everything, because I won't do it in front of others. But like, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to a lot of things. The forensic thing, though, touched me because I have 2 deceased brothers and a deceased stepsister. But one of my brothers was taken from us, and that's when I started to have so much admiration and respect for those who help families get answers as to why their loved ones are gone. Even the ones that aren't taken that just die, when you just study the body and you can break down what the culprit was, that helps people in their healing. They'll never have closure, but I don't think closure is possible when it's a piece of your heart missing. But you can start healing, and you can start to learn and navigate life. And I think it's so bomb, those people that's in that profession, just in the profession period of justice, is bomb to me.
So I'll tell you this. Yeah, I like that. You said that there's never closure. I think what you're talking about, though, there can be closure of the mind. And what I mean is answers, right? Why did this happen? It happened this way. Or how did this happen? It happened this way. Okay, that's one less unknown. I look at all fears are really the fear of the unknown. Like when Dr. Hawk talks about her kids, he's talking about the fear of the unknown, right? And that's why people look for look for closure. But I will tell you this: being someone who's been as at least a cog in the system for 15 years, being on the inside of the system is rewarding and frustrating at the same time, right? Because I understand certain things that happen that just don't make sense,
right?
And sometimes, how would I put this? Even as Black people, right? Sometimes we advocate for things that sound good on the surface, but when you're on the inside, you already know, like, yeah, that sounds good on the surface, but once we put this thing into play, it's not going to be that great. Sometimes those things play out, and you see them happen in society, and we're all sitting around like, how did this happen? And the people inside are like, we tried to tell y'all, but we didn't want to be seen as, the bad guys. So it's kind of like that. But it is rewarding to be able to bring closure to a victim who had something wrong done to them. The frustrating part that I'm talking about is that you can have someone commit a crime. The crime could be on video, and that person can get off on a technicality.
On a technicality.
On a technicality. And I guess, like I said, I can see both sides of it, because if I'm ever that guy, I'm going to use the technicality to my benefit, right? But we all know, I think we all have a foundational understanding of what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of people do a lot of wrong and get away with it. But not because we don't know they did, whether they did it or not. It's because defense attorneys are really intelligent.
Right. And I think about the Bill Cosby situation, because that's how he got out of jail, on a freaking technicality. After admitting to what he did, he was released on a technicality.
But in Bill's case, though, they messed up.
They did.
They messed up. Him immunity. That's why he admitted, right? Because he gave him immunity. And then another prosecutor comes along and says, oh, no, you don't have that deal. Well, if I'm Bill, right, whether I did it or not, I'm going to be like, hold on, that ain't the deal I had. You can't bring that in.
Yeah.
But that's the system. And when you're inside the system, you can kind of see those working parts. And you can see where things are going. Like, I've had people assault other people. So in DC, when you arrest somebody, the next day you have to go to papering. And that means you take all your paperwork and you go meet with the state's attorney. I mean, the attorney or whatever. And they'll be like, what happened? And you'll tell them, and they'll believe you. And they'll be like, oh, you think a night in jail is good enough, right? Like, you asking me? Like, no, I don't think a night in jail is good enough. And I'm pretty sure the victim doesn't think that either. But I'm not the one. You're not going to put that call on me. I did my job. I caught the bad guy, right? I brought him to you. So when he hits somebody else next week, don't come to Officer Bradley, because Officer Bradley did what he was supposed to do.
Yes.
I can see why that would be frustrating, just because I am a lover of justice. And I know for a lot of people, justice looks differently. But for me, and I know the law is not usually, the skills aren't usually favored in the way of Black and brown. That's just the truth. However, when it comes to things that we know fundamentally are wrong, like taking someone's life, like sexually assaulting somebody, or harming children, it's no way to wiggle out of that. And I'm a lover of justice, so I've always had that. But then also in school, I was a science geek. I love science, and I love the dealings of the body, the anatomy. So to combine them would have been definitely where I would have gone had I not became a mommy so young and really just didn't have. I don't want to say the support because I have an impeccable mother, but she was a single mother. So supporting me and being a grandmother and trying to be a co-parent to my child in order for me to do that, I think would have just been too much. And we tried to navigate things, but I do believe that you never age out of your true callings. Like, that's why I'm going to publish. That's why it's important to me. It's important to me that my son has representation. It's important to me that I go and fulfill the things that I had on my list of things that I wanted to do that makes me feel good. And it's not about it being an accolade. It's about what I love. That's why I liked your story about, how kids do stuff that they like and they love like every day. It's like, if we do that, like, hair is my thing. And I love it. I love the look on a man or a woman's face when I made them feel like $1,000,000 and they just praising and they feel good. Like, listen, I could go put my best foot forward at this job interview, or I'm gonna look banging for my wedding, for my, engagement, my proposal, whatever. It makes me feel good. So I like that too. And I do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to keep feeding myself things that I love to do and feeding that need. Because I don't think you could ever age out of wanting to do that and feeling fulfilled in what you want to do,
Yeah, and that's so true. Like, I think I put up a post the other day, and it came from a conversation that I had with somebody about, instead of you changing and walking away from your passion in order to check somebody else's boxes of what they want, make sure you satisfy what you want to do that makes you happy first. Because you're going to get into a relationship with resentment because you were pushed away from your passion.
Yeah, I know for me, I didn't really, as a young kid, I knew what I wanted to do, and it just didn't work out that way. So, like most little black boys who want to go to the NBA, and then you sit there for a while trying to figure out what it is that you're supposed to do with your life or whatever. And then it just becomes easy. I went to University of Maryland for a semester. I'm like, this ain't it. I just go get a good government job, be the police, and I'm 10 years from retirement. So Lil says, so do you believe it's the system or the people within the system? And she's talking about like the whole criminal justice system thing. To me, it's more about, the answer is both, right? Because we develop systems and we're imperfect, so there is no perfect system. And then on top of that, we have humans, right, that are
so imperfect.
We have humans that are imperfect, but then those humans are tasked with, because they have to be, with running the system, right? So biases are going to come into play. People's past histories and their emotional experiences and things like that are going to come into play. It's just so many things that humans have about them when it comes to their decision making that we don't see, people make decisions and you don't know why they're making that decision. So you have imperfect beings creating really good systems in a lot of ways, but still imperfect. And you put those same imperfect beings in places of power and influence and enforcement, right? And you ask them to be perfect, basically. And it's not going to work that way. And then you throw in the fact that there's a financial benefit to a lot of aspects of this system that in itself can manipulate outcomes. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you could talk about like the what do they call it, the prison pipeline, right?
Yeah,
right. You could talk about that. That's a way for people to make money off of it, right? But there's a flip side to that. There's a flip side to that, to where having criminals in society keeps a lot of people employed.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it works both
It's
ways.
a business.
Which is why, this is why
Right.
they push certain things into our community and take things away from our community to create you know, to create a situation where crime is high, resources are low.
Yeah, and I ain't going too far down the rabbit hole, but and I don't think there's a right answer. I think we've teetered in terms of the criminal justice thing. I think we've teetered. I think we've gone from one extreme to the other too much, right? Like I think we went to a point where we had like zero tolerance, like the crime bill and all of that good stuff, right? But now we've swung back the other way to where it's like we're not gonna have any cash bail. Now that's a good example, right? Like no cash bail. So you don't have to put up any collateral to get out. Well, if I just committed a crime and all I know the police officer is going to do is take me down, do some paperwork, and then I can get out and go back to committing my crimes, okay, well, why wouldn't I just keep going back and committing the crimes? So I'm not saying that I know what the answer is, but if the one extreme wasn't working, it's reasonable for me to believe that the other opposite extreme isn't going to work either. But because we get so caught up in our team's perspective, it's difficult to sit down with someone with a different opinion and be like, okay, let's be honest with each other. What do we both really?
Well, that's the politics. That's the politics of it, right?
Yeah,
That's really what it is.
yeah. But I think if people had conversations about what they truly wanted, it would be easier to come to conclusions. Because I think a lot of the times people with different opinions want the same thing. Which is a safe society where people can be as free as possible and flourish, happy. And then we say, okay, well, that's pretty cool. You know what? We want the same thing. Now the question is, well, how do we get
right? Am I jumping on my brother, my sister to get to where I want to be? You know, are we collaborating? And you know, it's different things.
That's why I love this platform that you have, because in addition to it being a meeting of the minds, we're getting a different perspectives from all the people that come on. You also get to be able to promote each other. We see so much of the stripping us down, one another, of all races, stripping each other down. Rarely do you see people lifting each other up, especially people that they have no blood relation to. John and I were talking about this. It's easy to be committed to people that came from your flesh or people you share blood with. It's easy. A lot of times we even dismiss their bad behavior like, you know what, that's just him being him, but that's my brother. I love him.
Right.
You know, but when it comes to one another, that grace isn't there. So this platform being just being so positive and encouraging one another, getting different perspectives, promoting one another, that's big. This is big.
And you know, and that's why I subscribe to your Patreon, because it's like, this is a Black brother, and why not monetize it? Because we'll be the ones, okay, I'm gonna pay for this subscription to Apple Music where you can stream online another, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one of those things. It's like we have to support each other.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate both of y'all. You know, I enjoy hearing people's thoughts. I enjoy hearing people's opinions. I like for people to challenge my opinions. I like to poke holes in other people's thoughts. And I think what it does is when it's done in good taste and good faith, what it does is it helps you grow. Because almost every day after I get off the live, I'm like, damn, I never thought of it. I never thought, but Dr. Hawk said something, or Nikki said something, or Julie said something, or Lil said something, and or Dr. J said something. And I'm just sitting back like, damn, like, I never thought of it that way. So now I have to like reorganize my whole worldview, which is good because it allows me to be more expanded in my views.
You're elevating your mind, man.
And I'm taking my power back. That's what we do here. So, Nikki, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Hawk.
I was about to say, I just thought of something back to your original question of what advice. You know what? I would say, listen to your mother, girl. Listen to your mother. Because especially in regards to relationship, when I say my mother had a gift of discernment from out of this world, and it took maybe 3 or 4 times before I realized she know what she's talking about. Like
Period.
certain people she would meet and she'd be like, he not stable. Why you dealing with him? And like, oh my. And sure enough, that mofo
And
wasn't
she did it in 5 seconds flat, probably. She
5
probably did it in.
seconds. Would have saved me a whole lot of
I'm trying to tell you.
pain, issues, drama, and everything else.
I know what stemmed from why I would have had to counsel young Nikki. It was really, I didn't even meet my father until I was 30 years old. I was 31 when I met him. And I'm his only child. Him and my mother hooked up, of course, when they were younger. And I went all 30 years of my life without having him. Now, I had the world's best dad and my grandfather. Like, baby, they don't even make them like that no more, okay? But my biological dad, who I have his entire face and my personality, I met him just shortly. It's just been a decade that I've had him a part of my life. And I think if younger Nikki would have had just some understanding, not just about having him in my life, but some understanding as to like my dad's story, it would have helped me at a younger age to have been able to learn empathy, learn forgiveness, and be able to feel whole so that I'm not out here looking for partial people because I know I'm partial because I was broken.
So you met your dad when you were 30.
30.
Y'all cool now? Y'all talk now?
I love him. He a nut. I love him.
That's cool though, right?
Yes. I mean, he is cool. I really do love him. It's amazing how much you can just share just through how much commonalities you can have with, like, he was literally a stranger and I'm his daughter and we are so much alike.
But without having that proximity and relationship, it tells you that those genes.
Man, them genetics is a mug. I look at him. I did the little reel on TikTok where you put the little they call it Johnny Depp. I put the Johnny Depp on. I said, oh my God, I look smack like this man. Okay, just like a.
Dr. Hawk, I know.
Yes, it was good.
Say that again.
I know something you would do.
What's that?
Meet Michael Jackson.
I would. I cried. I remember I was a kid because I couldn't go to the concert, but my cousin went. I remember. I cried.
Did you ever see him live?
No, and that was probably one of his last live shows over in the States. And I was young, but my cousin got tickets somehow and went, and I could not go. I cried.
Hey, what's your favorite MJ song and your favorite MJ video?
My favorite MJ video is still, because this is when I was doing my dance. Remember the times when you had, he had all my, and because that was my era. Had all my In Living Color dances up in there. Big Les was up in there,
Mm-hmm.
So that's my favorite video. But I will say, give me Beat It and Billie Jean. Thriller. Now, Thriller is my all-time. Like, if that came on now, I'll get up and do all the moves.
You gonna be in there with the...
Uh-huh.
Who don't love Michael Jackson, man? I did. First of all, there will never be another, and I feel safe saying that. There will never be another.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was definitely a one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. Like, you never...
Him and Prince.
Yeah, Prince. I think my favorite Prince song is Diamonds and Pearls.
Mine too.
Yeah, I really...
But the Earth song is my favorite Michael Jackson song. Yeah. Well, that's my favorite video. The Earth song is my favorite video. My favorite song by MJ would probably have to be Man in the Mirror. I love that song.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think. My son used to sing one when he did open mics. Butterflies. Now that's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Say Neo wrote that. I want to say Neo wrote. No, Neo didn't write Butterflies. Who's the girls? It's the girls. They from Philly. They went to Temple. Floetry wrote Butterflies, I want to say.
What? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, MJ was. I was just watching something the other day, and they were talking about how MJ ended up.
Rock a good one. Rock a good one. I'm sorry, that's a real good one too.
What's that?
I wanna rock with you.
Oh, Lil said it was Marsha Ambrosia.
Yeah, she was
I
from
did not
Flowetry.
know
She's from
that.
Flowetry. Yeah, she from the group Flowetry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty dope. MJ. They say MJ was a real dope businessman too. Like he ended up owning the Beatles publishing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's gangster.
And he was on his way to getting Elvis stuff too. That's why he married that man daughter.
But
You know.
like the conspiracy theorists will say that that's why certain things happened to him because he was.
Mm-hmm.
And Prince. And that's why they said and Prince. Yeah.
And others too, right? And some others along the way too. They say like, yo, once they start, I mean, and it goes back pretty far. Like even there's this short clip that you could find of MLK talking about, I'm going to DC to get that check, and soon after that, MLK wasn't around no more.
Mm-hmm.
So there are
Wow.
conspiracy theorists out there who can kind of map and plot how when certain people make certain moves in society, bad things happen to them.
Right. And it's crazy because look, me and my son was talking about it today. Because again, at one time he was strongly pursuing music, and he still does music. He sings and stuff like that. But we were having that conversation about you see a lot of it through the music industry, and I was like, you got to think about it. Satan, and Lucifer was he was the minister of music before he became the fallen angel. So you see a lot of that through the music industry. So,
well,
Wow.
I will tell you this because I've been following the Kanye thing, the Kanye and Kyrie thing, pretty decently, not super in depth, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm on. And some of the stuff that Kanye was saying was true in terms of the way in which music is utilized to manipulate the masses. Because I remember, because I got 2 albums on Apple Music, and I remember we were in the studio one day, and one of my boys told me, he was like, music is like a universal language. Like you
yeah.
can play good music in anywhere, and people will know that it's good music. They don't have to like know your language to know that they like how this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you just think about how deep do I want to go? If you think about, let's say you subscribe to the Bible in any way, shape, or fashion, regardless of your interpretation of it. It says like in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and all this other stuff. And God said, let there be light. So that tells you that sound, your voice, right, is very powerful. It can be it is that which creates things. So,
Yeah.
right.
You don't went there with that one. But yeah.
Right. So you're supposed to be careful of, the things you say, how you say them, the way in which you present them, especially when you're talking about, manifesting your future and all of that good stuff. But what are you about to say, Dr. Hawk?
No, I was just saying absolutely that God, look, you can speak things into existence, which
I'm telling you.
we're not God, but it's a true demonstration of what it means to speak something into existence. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my man
Absolutely.
George said death and life is in the power of the
the
tongue.
tongue,
And I
yes.
think this too, another crazy thing about life is you can start out joking about something, and if it becomes a running joke, the potentiality of that running joke becoming true, it still it begins to manifest itself, right? So I'll give y'all a small example that hasn't fully manifested. My kids want a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love dogs. I've had 2 dogs. I've seen both of my dogs die. One got hit and the other I had to get him put to sleep. Right. And I'm more of a dog person than a cat person.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just ain't trying to deal with the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to have to train him. I don't want to have to find somewhere for him to go. I don't want to get up on a Tuesday morning in February when it's 20 degrees outside and take him outside to use the bathroom. So I keep pushing this cat thing. I'm like, yo, let's get a cat. And we get a kitten. We can get a kitten. And they starting to come around on the cat a little bit. The last person that I need to come around on the cat is Lil. But I don't think she's going to do it. But the fact, and it started as a joke, me saying like, we'll just get a cat. Now I really want a cat. Cat videos come up on my Instagram feed. Libby's like, well, Daddy, maybe we can get a kitten. So that
Mhm.
tells me, like, yo, like you talking about it can actually make it happen.
Mhm.
So, you know, and if you look at your life too,
I'll second that with this story. My girlfriend Vanessa said to me, she said, "Remember when we were having a conversation about dating men in a certain income bracket, right? When we were younger, right? And we were like, oh, he gonna have to, you so ratchet, and he gonna have to have this and make that and blah blah blah." And my girlfriends used to say, Nikki, like they always used to peg me the dude because they like, oh, you be straight interview mode, like you be like going in and you know exactly what you want and you cutthroat with it, right? You be poor man's ego and feelings by the time you get done with him if he ain't got himself together. So she used to tell me, she said, watch it's gonna be y'all that Nikki, when she fall in love, she gonna fall in love with a guy who is normal like us, who works a regular 9 to 5. And I was like, lies, my guy gonna be blah 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 da 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 da. And so I told my husband, I said, because John makes good money, right? But when I was younger and my girlfriends was talking about it, it was doctors, lawyers, blah blah blah. Gotta be this, gotta be that. Why they kept telling me, you're gonna be a watch, you're gonna be the one.
hey, why did you want a doctor or a lawyer? Why was that the case?
Because I'm gonna tell you why. I already told you. When I grew up, my mother, my spoon was silver and diamond encrusted in my mouth. She gave me everything, right? She gave me love, but materials I didn't work for coming up. So when I got older and started getting in the age of dating, I was like, I need to date a man with such and such means. Because to me, that equated success. Remember, we had that conversation
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
on feeling successful in your own right and not holding someone accolades up to them as a measuring stick as to whether or not they're successful. Of course, 20-year-old Nikki didn't know that.
Mm.
So, of course, that's where my mind was at that time. I was thinking about that, reflecting, like, I got a ways to go. Like, and I do believe in therapy, Dr. Hawk, by the way. I got a ways to go on things that I need to do, but I am immensely proud of the work that I have done thus far.
Mm. You know what? I didn't I can't tell y'all my secrets, but I have a reel that I haven't posted that talks about what you're talking about. And basically what I was saying in the reel is that when you are on the journey of life, especially when you have a goal, it's very important to every once in a while reflect back on how far you've come.
Yes, Lord.
It is really important because sometimes when we haven't reached our destination and we've been on a path for a really long time, it can be discouraging to see how much further we have to go to get to where it is that we want to be. But
Mhm.
if you every once in a while turn around and look back at where you used to be, who you used to be, and the things that you've learned along the way, it makes it easier to continue going towards whatever that goal is or whatever that future version of yourself is. I know that's something that I do every once in a while. Go ahead, Dr. Hope.
Crazy. I remember me and Tom having a conversation about this because he'll say, if I hit the lottery, I'm gonna just give you $1 million and bounce out. He would say stuff like that. Now, back in the day, before I have the job that I have now and the position I have, he was like, you should really be satisfied with that because you'll never even make that much over your lifetime based on what you were making now. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
he made that argument today. I'm like, bruh, give me a couple years. If I saved everything I made, like, so it is something that you look back over and think of where God has brought you to and what you've been blessed with and the growth. So that's
Yeah,
something.
I think too. I think because we have more access to ultra successful people,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
overshadow our own vision of how far that we've come.
Right.
And that goes individually and is like a people. You know what I'm saying? I think even if you look at like us as black people, we will compare ourselves. This is crazy that people do this. People compare themselves to something that is completely outside of their path.
Mm-hmm.
So we will look at it and say, well, the millionaires and billionaires. Well, yeah, I mean, they came from millions and billions. So there's a reason why you don't have that, right? A more comparable comparison would be the poor white kid. How
Mm-hmm.
far
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to how far you went, right?
Right.
And so that's another jewel is compare realistically. You
Mm-hmm.
can't compare
Apple.
unrealistically, right?
Yeah.
I can't compare myself. I can't say something like, I don't feel as good about where I am because I don't have as much money as Jeff Bezos.
Right.
Not
Right.
realistic, right? And you're always going to feel like a failure if that's the case, right? But if I look at it and I say, okay, where are all of the black men who were from PG County, who came through PG County schools that were born in the 80s? Where are they? I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing pretty damn good in comparison to a
You
lot.
know what I'm saying?
So
And that's,
now I feel better about myself.
I feel like when I look at where I was mentally, that's why I said I think that the mental growth for me is the biggest pickup in where I grew, because I'm starting to really like accept life's successes and not look at engage my idea of success based on what society views as success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at life's gauge of success, and I'm feeling successful, and I know that I have things that I'm still going to tweak out. But yeah, no, I'm actually proud of me. So
That,
there it
that's all that
is.
that's all that matters. Like, I remember, like, and I thought about this yesterday because I think Julie said something about she would compare herself. You know, it's a gospel song out there that says comparison kills. Like, don't compare yourself to somebody else. You need to compare yourself to you.
Yeah,
Look where you were.
yesterday.
Yes. Yes. Look where you were and look where you are now. So you shouldn't be trying to be where somebody else is. You should look at you and look at your own growth. You know, because even,
Mm-hmm.
you know, even in schools, like when we would get at the end of the year, them stupid behind test scores would come in. Oh, everybody want to look at other schools. I said, I don't want to look at other schools. Don't compare me to other schools. Let's look at where my school was last year and look where I am now. That to me is the true, you know, thermometer of growth.
Yeah, you have to have a realistic view, right? And in terms of comparison too, I think comparison can be healthy, but it has to be done in a realistic and a positive way.
Right.
You have to be able to look at people who are similar to you, who are in the same, who are of the same ilk as you, and use them as motivation,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as distant mentors,
But
right?
not comparison though. Definitely motivation.
Right, right. So I look at it kind of like, I don't want what you have. I just want to know how you got it, right? And to be truthful, most successful people, they'll tell you. They might not give you everything, but they'll give you, and that's why YouTube University, right?
Mm.
Because most people aren't going to do what's required to be successful anyway, and on a particular level. So they'll tell you, how to become a millionaire, because they're like, most people ain't gonna do it. Like you said, Dr. Hulk, if I was to save all my money, right, for the next 2-3 years, I'd be good, right? But most people aren't gonna do that. Not that most people can. So it might be a bad example.
And let me say this, not just me, but me and my husband together. I don't got like that. But me, 6 years by myself, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my money ain't nowhere near John's money. I'm just gonna keep that all the way 100. Okay, like I could literally sit on the couch and eat bonbons and be that woman from back in the day watching soap operas, and my husband would be able to hold us down. So we're not gonna fake like I'm near him, because that's not the case. But what I will say is that through the years, in addition to me building in revenue, because I'm proud of my money because it's my money and I work for myself.
Amen.
In addition to that, I have learned financial responsibility. I have become financially educated. I have learned how to save. I've implemented it in the way that I raise my children. I'm already teaching my boys what it is to put money aside and what it's for already. So,
Right.
Mm.
And that's too with my kids, they're at a point they're like, they don't want to work for nobody. So it's like, well, what are you doing now? If you want to be an entrepreneur, what are you doing now? And I'm here to support you regardless. And like I said, my daughter graduated from cosmetology school. My son graduated from barber school.
oh,
I've been,
nice, nice.
I've been in that lane. I owned a hair salon. So you got your mama here to support you. But what are y'all doing now? So it's not just me. Like, what are y'all
Okay.
to build your brand? So,
Are you do they want their own shop?
yeah, they do.
So when does that happen?
So it's in the plans. I'm not gonna say it's in the works, but it's in the plans for within the next year or so, because they both just finished school this year and they don't have their license yet. I don't want them to rush through the process or me rush them before they get their license in. My son, he just took the practical portion of his and passed. Thank God.
Good.
And passed his practical test. But now it's like, y'all take your time. Don't rush through it. Kids in this microwave society think, so I'm trying to teach them to slow down and make sure that they can out
Yeah.
step, because
I was a part of that microwave society myself. I'm not gonna lie. I think my phase has lasted a bit long. I just told my mother the other day, I was just like, hats off to parents, because we children, because now we're parents, but when we're children, we dish it out, man. When I think about the stuff that I sent this woman through, and she still was there, and encouraging and loving, and she just knew how to guide me. And I want to mimic that part, and then like drop off the things that I feel just need to be done away with. I know you was on here talking about that your baby was homeschooled. My son is autistic. I kept him home an additional year last year, because I was in the beginning testing phase of finding out what autoimmune disorder I had, and COVID could have took sis out. So I kept my kids home an additional year, and I let him go to private school virtually. Now, this little boy was nonverbal until he was 4. So in private school last year, he skipped a year. So he went back this year in person, a grade higher academically than his peers, but because he is autistic, he's around the peers that are his age to help foster some more of those social skills. But he got a girlfriend and everything, Dr. Hawk. Okay, you can't box my baby. He busting out every day, okay? Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That was one of my most recent sessions with Dr. E. He was asking me, like, why do you do what you do? And I say this to my wife sometimes, like, realistically, like, I don't have to do the things that I do. I don't have to go live. I could very well, if I wanted to, I could just very well just be like, all right, look, man, I'm 10 years from a pension and health insurance. I just figure out a way to pay this house off in 10 years, dial it in, and just be done with it, right? And just, all right, well, in 10 years, when I'm 50, I don't have to work anymore. I can do whatever it is I want to do. I said, but the problem is I don't necessarily know how to teach my kids how to be self-sufficient.
Right.
Right. So I have to do this. And it's not that I have to do it. Of course, I would like to do it and become super successful. But I have to, at minimum, learn the principles of doing that so that my kids don't have to fight people on buses or fight on trains or show up to the scene where the guy has jumped in front of the train, and they could do whatever it is that they enjoy doing, monetize that thing, right? And then, like my reel said this morning, you'll always be doing something that you love doing because you've taken that and figured out a way to make that your job or your career or the thing that you enjoy doing. So one of the reasons I do what I do is to be able to teach my kids, like, yo, this is how you do this. This is how you form an LLC. This is how you monetize content. This is how you This is how you communicate with people. This is how you
Right.
become a personality, and you make money off of being a personality. You bring value to other people in some way, shape, or fashion, and if you bring value to them, that'll benefit you.
Let me see if my daughter listening, because when I tell you, I don't know what she's scared of, but again, we're in this, world of social media and influencing and stuff like that. She probably has been vlogging for the past 2 or 3 years, but has yet to post one video.
What's she waiting for?
I think she's scared or she's nervous. She's so nervous about what other people will think. And I'm like, don't look at it like that. Like, she will do a makeup tutorial. She will vlog this. And I'm like, okay, it's time to you have enough. At this point, you've created enough content. Now let's publish it.
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah.
I think that's about. I don't know. I'm an introvert, and we all care what people think about us. But I think when you when you become really comfortable with yourself, and when I mean comfortable, I mean like all of your little quirks and all of the little things about you that you know is weird and that other people probably know is weird too, right? And you just stop caring what people think. And you realize like people are going to like you or dislike you regardless.
Right.
You just do what it is that you do. And I remember one of my high school coaches told me something like, God doesn't give you talents and gifts for you to keep them like in the dark.
Oh my gosh. You was in my conversation with my boy this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not the only thing I can be selfish with is my food, right? But I'm not a very selfish person. When I was playing JV my 10th grade year, I remember my coach used to tell me like, hey, it's okay for you to shoot the ball a little bit more, right? Hey, puppy dog.
Say hey, Richie. Say hey, Richie.
Richie got all the money.
Uh,
But my estimate is that,
okay.
she should. So an exercise I would tell her to do is think about or write out all of the reasons why you haven't published your content, right? And then sit down and think about or write out all of the benefits that could come from doing it, and not just financial, just the self-fulfillment. And 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 you have to think about the people that you would be helping, right? Because how many people aren't getting the knowledge or information that you have to offer because you have this internal hang up? That's not really fair, right?
Yeah, and and this I will say again, being on this platform, and again, thank you so much for welcoming me on your platform and allowing me to be on here, has now like developed me to say like, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can, and I was talking to my son this morning because again, these shelter kids that have been up under me, I said maybe it's something we can do together where we can support parents and these parents of these kids that are young adults, because I think us parents that have these young adults need a support system.
Listen, and a good bartender. Okay. No, I love my girls, and they are, let me just say this, we love our children, right? I think my daughters are warriors. I think that they are everything that I would have wanted to gravitate and associate with in my younger day, just to surround myself with positivity. They're already in their careers, they're already going responsible, they lean on one another, they are the bomb. Like, and shout out to my co-parent God, because if I didn't have him, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my son, because he does suffer from like social anxiety and stuff like that. But like I said, like what I say, the first time we went to an open mic and it shocked the heck out of me. It shocked me so bad because I was like, this kid with all this social anxiety can perform like this. So,
Julie, why you slamming doors?
Putting
Julie,
her foot down. You putting your foot down somewhere.
How y'all doing?
How you,
good.
Hey, Julie.
Julie Mae?
Yes.
It wouldn't be an episode of Mars Mindset without you showing up. So I figured I said, well, even though I'm getting ready to get off of here, because I've had a long day, I gotta let my homegirl Julie Bean say her piece. So Julie Bean, what advice would you give to your younger self?
To trust my intuition.
About
Everything.
specifically?
To trust my gut about that job, that dude, that business venture. I would probably be in a different place and space in life right now. I'm not complaining, but I really created a longer route because I did not have enough faith and trust in myself and my abilities.
So you would go back and tell yourself to believe in yourself. That's
Yeah.
what like.
I like
What you say?
Yeah.
I like it. That's what I say. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
When you don't believe in yourself, you allow other influences and other people to, I wouldn't necessarily say just manipulate you, but they kind of nudge you in a certain direction. And because I didn't trust myself and my gut, I allowed those influences to kind of steer me longer than I had hoped now that I'm looking back.
Dr. Hawk, Julie just made me think about something that you were talking about earlier too. And then we're gonna get out of here because I gotta go. Like Julie is saying, trust yourself more, right? And you know, maybe seek out the things that you genuinely have a passion for or believe you can do.
Mhm.
So a lot of the ways that I look at the way God itself works is through nature, right? I think nature is a really good informant as to the nature of the way this thing works, right?
Mhm.
And so you live in, I know Dr. Hawk, you on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and Julie, we all on the East Coast. You, except for Julie. Julie doesn't see the 4 seasons, but you see, hey Jesse, you see nature go through cycles, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes storms come, but then you have your regular seasons and storms come, and then there's good days and there's bad days. I say that to say, if you trust yourself the way Julie is saying, and things don't turn out the way you necessarily want them to, the nature of God or the nature of, say, the universe is to self-correct,
Mm-hmm.
right? It naturally self-corrects. The leaves die, and then in a little while they come back, right?
Yeah.
It's always self-correcting. So it's almost like our fear of failure is an illusion. Now, that's not an absolute, because if you're doing things that aren't good for you and society at large, you can end up in jail or dead. But if you're just talking about pursuing a path, right? If you pursue a path because you feel like, or you think that that's the correct path, then even if you mess up on that particular path, the greater, it's like it can fix it.
Right.
And
That's
you end up with the treasures of just following the yellow brick road. That was kind of a cool way to put that. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
about yourself, you find about your own power. So
Yeah.
in closing, who wants to go first in closing? We'll let Julie go last, and she was the last one on. So Dr. Hawk or Nikki, who wants to go first in closing?
I'll go. Let me just say that I think that it's probably easy for us to entertain the idea of what we would go back and tell our younger self, but what we can do is make right of today, because tomorrow is going to come with a whole another set of worries. So make right for today, and then you can prepare. We can't go back,
Mhm.
but we can prepare.
Mhm.
Dr.
And
Hawk? Oh,
So, and I would kind of on the same line, the similar thing where it's good to think about what advice you would give to your younger self, but at the same time, take every experience, every failure, every bump, everything in a roll, take it and appreciate it. Don't have any regrets because every experience is, will support your growth, your path to growth.
Julie.
So, in closing, yeah, I wouldn't really consider this what something I would have told myself, my younger self, but I am learning to accept people where they are and know that they are going to evolve. They
Mm-hmm.
may not evolve at your pace, but over time, they will evolve to some degree. So don't create a false expectation of people. Like, really learn to accept them where they are in the now, not later or not what they were yesterday.
Okay. I'll say this. Um, the beauty of the human mind is that it exists outside of physical space and time, meaning I can project myself into the future, my mind into the future, and I can project myself into the past.
Mm-hmm.
Fact that I can think about what I would tell my younger self allows me to take that same advice and make it applicable, like Nikki said, today. So if I could say to my younger self, hey, I would have started a podcast 10 years ago. Well, you know what that means you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to start a podcast right now.
Right now.
You're supposed to do it right now and
Mm-hmm.
embrace it for what it is. You can't fall into the trap of looking at things you didn't do or should have done in the past and think that it's too late. If it were too late, you wouldn't be here, right? You're still here now because you can still make those things happen. Now, because you've made different choices, your path won't be as easy as your imaginative course through life, but that's okay. That's what's going to make the success that much more beautiful, bountiful, and enjoyable. So, in closing, think about the advice you would give your younger self. Think about the advice that your future self will give you and implement it now. And through implementing it now, that will help you take your power back.
Back.
Your power back.
Take your power back.
Y'all be good. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
It was good. Bye, y'all.
Peace.
Bye.